Everybody, welcome to this episode of what I'm going to call Beer Frame Extra. Does college basketball really have anything to do with bowling? No, but it's fun, and I would venture to guess that the vast majority of you out there who are watching this video are in a bracket pool or have filled out a bracket or two yourself, so we're just going to have a little bit of fun and break up the regular routine, but we are still going to talk about a beer. This is, in Hays, Kansas. It's about 200 miles west of here, so it's more in western Kansas, almost to the Kansas-Colorado border on I-70. They are Liquid Bread Brewing Company, and this is their lemon ale. There's nothing left in the bottle because I drank it all, but we're still going to talk about it. But hopefully you can see that there. There's another, here in Topeka, there's a microbrewery that's been here for a while. It's called Blind Tiger, and you always, whenever you go in, you see a bunch of awards on the wall. And the first time that we actually found out about this place was when we were just driving through, and we were actually going to the restaurant that's attached to it. I'll talk about in a minute, but they have a bunch of awards and stuff inside too, and so after leaving there and then going back and visiting Blind Tiger again, it looks like if Blind Tiger doesn't win an award, this place does, and vice versa. So it's you can always count on them for very good stuff. Now this is their lemon ale. It tastes a lot like a shandy, so it's very clean and crisp and refreshing. It's one of those where you take a sip of and you lean back and just say, it's the perfect. It's the perfect barbecue or cookout beer or 4th of July. I mean, that's when I take a drink of this, I think of 4th of July for some reason. I don't know why, but it's got a very lemony taste without being too sweet or too tart. It's not like a cider beer where you have a couple of those and they can get really sweet. This has still got that nice calm flavor to it. I don't know if you can use calm to describe a flavor. But it's not too sweet, it's not too tart, it doesn't have too much body, or it's not too firm. It's almost like you took I don't want to insult the beer by saying, Bud Light Lemon instead of Bud Light Lime, but it's got that kind of vibe. And something else that's really cool here too is that there's a restaurant that's attached to this Liquid Bread Brewing Company. It's called Gella's Diner. It's in an old part of Hays. I mean, Hays is kind of an old town to begin with, but this is where this brewery is located. It's attached to Gella's Diner, and it's downtown. They still have brick streets. It's like old Main Street or Old Town. It's got a very 30s, 40s, or 50s type vibe, and the restaurant should be. The food that comes out of there it's a diamond in the rough, because this restaurant has a very good chef, and it's one of these places you expect to be spending $20-$30 a plate at some restaurant in Kansas City or Los Angeles or New York or something like that. It's one of those places where if you ask for a substitution for a part of the meal, or you have to take something off, the waitress will come back and say, well, the chef doesn't really recommend this because he paired this with this and these flavors go well together. And then as soon as you listen to the chef, it's fantastic. And we make a point, every time we go to nationals, we drive. And so whenever it's in Vegas or Reno or somewhere out west, we always stop here on the way back and definitely hit the restaurant and definitely get a growler or two of something. So that's the beer that we are talking about this episode. Anyway, so getting into the bracket, I put one in as just kind of some fun with our employee pool at the bowling alley. But this is one I took a little bit more seriously, if you can ever take a bracket seriously, because if you're like me, you get let's see, it's Thursday about 9 o'clock in the morning right now, so I'd say by about this time tomorrow it's already going to be destroyed. But we're going to talk about it anyway. And I don't get to follow college basketball very closely. I'm pretty busy throughout the year. It's kind of winding down. The bowling season's winding down, and so the things are slowing down a little bit in the pro shop, but when they're pretty busy, I don't have a whole lot of time to keep up with this stuff. So we're going to start in the East region where we have Villanova as the 1 seed, Duke is the 2 seed. Villanova versus a 1 seed's never lost to a 16, so I can tell you right now that all the 1 seeds I've got going through the first round, it's not rocket science. It probably will never ever happen. So we're just going to shoo all the 1 seeds through. So I got Villanova taking that one. 8 seed 8 seed Wisconsin, 9 seed Virginia Tech. I have Wisconsin moving ahead in that one. 5 versus 12 Virginia UNC Wilmington. I have Virginia moving through in that one. That's kind of a common theme here. I don't have very many upsets in the first round, which is normally my problem. Normally it's, and I'll talk about the KU thing here in a minute. We're in KU country, and so that's always exciting. Number 4 Florida, 13 East Tennessee State. I've got Florida moving through. 6 SMU against 11 Providence. I guess it's 11 Providence. Look at the play-in game. I guess they don't have the play-in games on here. Number 6 SMU. They actually beat Cincinnati in their conference finals. Look to be playing very well. I got number 3 Baylor against 14 New Mexico State. Now Baylor had an early exit last year, and this is the thing is I always pick way too many Big 12 teams, and they always disappoint me. Now, being a Kansas fan and being in Kansas country, it seems like the conference always seems better than it is until it comes to tournament time, and then they all just take a big dump and ruin brackets. Number 7, South Carolina. This is my first upset here. I got number 10, Marquette over number 7, South Carolina. Then we had number 2, Duke over number 15, Troy. Moving into the West, the number 1 team is Gonzaga, number 2 team is Arizona. And Gonzaga is one of these really weak 1 seed teams that somehow gets to be a 1 seed every year and then is always the first 1 seed out of the tournament. I don't have them going out until actually the Sweet 16, it looks like. But they're usually the first 1 seed that gets knocked out unless Kansas has a Northern Iowa episode or something like that. Gonzaga's moving on. I have number 8 Northwestern over number 9 Vandy. I have number 5 Notre Dame over number 12 Princeton. That one's probably going to be a closer one than most people think it is, and I could see Princeton probably taking that one, but got Notre Dame going through. They were in the ACC championship game against North Carolina, I believe. Number 4, West Virginia over 13 Bucknell. I actually have West Virginia being the team that knocks off Gonzaga later. Spoiler alert. In another case of Big 12 bias where I think that they're better than they are, so they'll probably get beat a lot earlier. But number 6 Maryland over number 11 Xavier. Number 3 Florida State over 14 Florida Gulf Coast. I have number 10 VCU over number 7 St. Mary's. I know everybody's talking about St. Mary's is pretty tough, but VCU bias. I realize I don't have Shaka Smart anymore, but VCU. Number 2 Arizona over 15 North Dakota. Moving into the Midwest region, which is Kansas is the number 1 seed and Louisville is the number 2 seed. Kansas is one of those infuriating teams that you know that they're always going to lose to a team that they shouldn't lose to, but you never know which of those teams that they shouldn't lose to that you're going to pick. So it's more like just flip a coin, see how far you get. Pretty sure they can handle number 16 North Carolina Central. I've got number 9 Michigan State over number 8 Miami, Florida, and while those some of you may say that that's a mistake, this is Izzo's time of the year. I mean, if you look at the biggest college the streaks as far as teams making the NCAA tournament, I believe that Kansas has the most right now at 28 consecutive. Izzo's third on the list at 20. So this is just Michigan State's time of the year. I'm not going to count Izzo out. So number 5 Iowa State over number 12 Nevada. Now this is a pretty good Nevada team, but Iowa State just came off winning the Big 12 tournament, and they're on a real hot streak right now. Their record wouldn't necessarily show it, but Iowa State's playing very good basketball right now. Number 4 Purdue over 13 Vermont. I actually had number 11 Rhode Island over number 6 Creighton. Don't really know either of those teams at all, but I just wanted to pick an upset in there somewhere, so I wasn't just riding the higher seed wave. Number 3 Oregon over 14 Iona. Apparently Oregon's, I don't know really anything about Oregon either, but they're a 3 seed. I heard that one of their best players recently went out, so I don't have them going very far. But number 7 Michigan against number 10 Oklahoma State. I have Oklahoma State moving through again. Hashtag Big 12 bias. Number 2 Louisville over number 15 Jacksonville State. Moving into South Region, I've got number 1 North Carolina over Texas Southern. Obviously, I've got number 8 Arkansas over number 9 Seton Hall. I have number 12 Middle Tennessee over number 5 Minnesota. The 5 and 12 matchups always seem like there's a couple of 12s that make it through every single year. And that's just another one of those. I don't know much about it, but I picked an upset. Number 4 Butler. Apparently this is a pretty good Butler team. So I've got them over number 13 Winthrop. And we have more Big 12 bias. Number 11 Kansas State over number 6 Cincinnati. Kansas State is actually playing pretty good basketball here too. They beat Baylor twice, and they played, I can't remember who they played. I think they played West Virginia in the Big 12 tournament, and they almost knocked them off. So K-State's playing some pretty good basketball right now too, so I picked them. Number 3 UCLA. Everybody's saying that UCLA is a pretty dangerous team in the tournament right now. I got them over 14 Kent State. At number 10, Wichita State over number 7, Dayton. Wichita State is one of those teams where they dominate their conference. It seems like they always win the conference title. They always win the conference tournament. They have a weak strength of schedule, which puts them so low, but they perennially have a pretty good team. So, number 2, Kentucky over number 15, Northern Kentucky. So we go back up to the second round. I got number 1, Villanova over number 8, Wisconsin. I don't think they're saying a team. Villanova won last year, and they're saying a team has never repeated or gone back-to-back before, so I do not have them in the championship game nor winning it, but they're pretty good, so we're going to put them through over Wisconsin. Got number 4 Florida over number 5 Virginia. Number 6 SMU over number 3 Baylor. Again, Baylor's one of those teams that plays well during the year, and then they get to tournament time and they go out in the first or second round no matter what their seed is, and SMU's playing pretty good right now. So I do have number 6 SMU over number 3 Baylor. Number 2 Duke over number 10 Marquette. Duke's playing some pretty good basketball right now, and they've got a very solid team. So I'm going to be riding Duke pretty hard through this. I do have number 1 Gonzaga going into the West. Again, I have 1 Gonzaga over 8 Northwestern and number 4 West Virginia over number 5 Notre Dame. I have number 3 Florida State over number 6 Maryland, and Arizona is another one of those pretty dangerous teams in the tournament that I've got going a pretty long way. So I do have number 2 Arizona over number 10 VCU. Midwest, number 1 Kansas over number 9 Michigan State. This, I think, is going to be a lot closer game than people think it's going to be. Again, this is Izzo's time of the year, and KU always loses to those teams that are pretty good and just catch fire against them at the wrong time. And KU just doesn't ever seem to... They shrink at tournament time when they just don't have those playmakers that just run out there and get things done. Now this year their point guard Frank Mason is that type of player. He's not that type of player that can kind of run the entire game without a little bit of help. But I do have number 1 Kansas moving through in this matchup. But again, if Michigan State knocks them off, I would not be stunned. They got number 5 Iowa State against number 4 Purdue. I have Iowa State moving on. I also have number 3 Oregon over 11 Rhode Island. Number 2 Louisville over number 10 Oklahoma State. Nothing too interesting there. Number 1 North Carolina over number 8 Arkansas. Then I have number 4 Butler over number 12 Middle Tennessee. Number 3 UCLA knocking off 11 Kansas State. And number 2 Kentucky taking care of number 10 Wichita State. Moving back to the East in the Sweet 16, it looks like, in the regional semifinals, which will be next weekend. I have number 1 Villanova over number 4 Florida, and number 2 Duke over number 6 SMU. Then I have, in the West, I have number 4 West Virginia knocking off number 1 Gonzaga. Again, Gonzaga is perennially a very weak number 1 seed that has a very easy strength of schedule. Ends up with a good record, and so they kind of have to put them up there, but they're usually the first number 1 seed that gets knocked off. I then had number 2 Arizona over number 3 Florida State. I have Kansas in the Midwest, number 1 Kansas moving on over number 5 Iowa State. That's another one of those games where I could very easily see Iowa State knocking them off. I think Iowa State beat them, or were close to beating them. Maybe they didn't earlier this year at Iowa State. So Iowa State's always a tough team and a specifically tough matchup for KU. Number 2 Louisville over number 3 Oregon. Then in the South, I have number 4 Butler over number 1 North Carolina. I'm just not impressed with North Carolina either. They have the worst record of the number 1 seeds, and just not impressed this year. Number 3 UCLA over number 2 Kentucky. I think it's one of those that could be a coin flip either way or the other, but Kentucky doesn't have as dominant of a team as they've had in the last few years, so I've got UCLA moving on. Then to the Elite 8, I have number 2 Duke knocking off number 1 Villanova. Again, that's another coin flip deal, but Duke's playing some pretty good basketball right now, and I think that they've got a pretty good matchup against Villanova. I think it'll probably be a close game, but I think Duke will squeak it out. Then I have number 2 Arizona over number 4 West Virginia. Arizona's just a better team. I have number 2 Louisville over number 1 KU. This time of the year, I just can't trust KU. I'd love to go with my heart and take KU all the way, but I just can't trust Kansas this time of year. Then I have number 3 number 3 UCLA over number 4 Butler. So my final 4, I have Duke, Arizona, Louisville, and UCLA. I have Duke winning the game over Arizona, and I have UCLA winning the game over Louisville, and then I have Duke as our national champion. So that is my very long-winded, probably took a lot longer than it could have, March Madness bracket, but if you've watched the first couple episodes of Beer Frame, you know that's just how I roll. So that's my prediction. If you guys have any picks or want to comment, criticize, poke fun, whatever else. If you want to have some fun at my expense, then get in the comments section, leave a like, put some of your comments. Who do you think is going to win the national title? And that's going to wrap it up. So, March Madness bracket. Thanks for watching.